what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Many of you have now heard the term stepped-up basis, and it possibly being eliminated, which is very concerning. I encourage you to schedule your free 15-minute consultation with attorney Harlan Mitchell to find out what you can do to protect yourself and your family. Schedule your appointment with attorney Harlan Mitchell by calling 256-216-9884 or by going to bamaestateplanning.com. Do it today. Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta, Nashville, and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
He's got a cold, nothing to worry about.
Just need a couple of stitches.
Your COVID rapid test is negative.
Oh boy, X-ray shows it's broken.
Trust Trinity Medical Care when you need urgent care or routine medical care. Walk-ins are welcome, or let Trinity help you virtually with telemedicine. Visit trinity-medicalcare.com for more information and follow them on Facebook. Trinity Medical Care, where your care comes first. Located on Governor's Drive and South Parkway.
Experience the difference at Athens Bible School. The vision and purpose is to provide each student a quality education in a Christ-centered environment to develop the whole person spiritually, mentally, physically, and socially in safe and supportive surroundings. The solid biblical foundation permeates learning and culture in the classrooms and every extracurricular activity.
Hey everybody, this is Daryl Worley, and you're listening to The Mark White Show. Hey, step up and make a difference like he does.
Hey y'all, this is Jeff Foxworthy, and you can make a huge difference in somebody's life. You just may not have figured out how yet, and that's why you're listening to The Mark White Show.
Hi, this is Maggie Peterson. I played Charlene Darling on The Andy Griffith Show, and you are listening to The Mark White Show.
Hi folks, this is Ricky Skaggs, and you're listening to The Mark White Show.
Hello, I'm Gene Stallings, and this is The Mark White Show. Get off the sideline and get involved and make a difference in your community.
You are listening to The Mark White Show. My daddy is your host, Mark White.
Something good today.
Welcome to another edition of The Mark White Show. I am your host, Mark White. And from time to time, friends and neighbors will send me messages about efforts that they are aware of. One of those friends is Monica Gamble, known her a very, very long time, and she messaged me about a young boy named Sawyer and her friends Katie and Taylor Burch. They have Sawyer in Hawkins. Sawyer is 4 years old, and she shared with me their situation. Right now, I have Katie Burch on the line. Welcome to the Mark White Show, Katie.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, life throws us curves. We're not necessarily prepared for everything that life does give us. And when it comes to children, of course, on the Mark White Show, I've run into many circumstances where parents were surprised by diagnoses they received for their kids.
Yeah.
And it really does put you on a path of appreciation of life, appreciation for what we do have, the blessings that we do have, and allows us sometimes, whether we like it or not, to learn some new qualities. And maybe among those is patience and understanding and kindness and trying to navigate through this process. And of course, you and your husband Taylor were given a diagnosis when it comes to Sawyer. Share that with listeners, what happened.
So Sawyer was diagnosed with a rare metabolic disorder. It's called Trifunctional Protein Deficiency. He basically, our bodies, the first line of energy that we use is fats, and then we go to carbs. And then what we don't want to do is we go into our muscles. Sawyer has the inability to break down fats. He does not have the enzymes present to be able to do that. So essentially his body burns through the carbs and starts breaking down his muscles. So he was showing some muscle weakness, things that just kind of stood out. I'm a pediatric nurse, so things that I just knew weren't right. And I kept pushing and searching for answers. And 2 years later, we finally got a diagnosis through genetic testing, and he was positive for TFP. So it's been a life change for sure. He can't eat that many fats. He can only eat 30 grams of fat a day, which in perspective, a spoonful of peanut butter is 15.
Wow.
So, yeah. So he has to follow an extremely low-fat diet. We have to supplement him with a bunch of different medications and some specialty oils that kind of synthetically, give him fats that he can break down. It's kind of a weird fake fat situation, but his body can process that appropriately for energy instead of it going straight to his muscles. And essentially that's what was happening was his body was attacking itself.
When we talk about trifunctional protein deficiency, TFP, and you mentioned your background as a nurse, less than 100 cases worldwide, was this anything that was on your radar even as a medical professional?
No, he had some issues with his newborn screen, that some numbers were elevated, but we had gotten some genetic testing then and they had ruled all of that out. So I thought it was just going to be kind of like a simple enzyme replacement. I had toyed around with, I'd had him tested for diabetes and a bunch of different things. I really thought we were leaning more towards muscular dystrophy type issues, but he ended up being negative for all that. So no, it was not on my radar and probably wouldn't have ever shown up on my radar with there being less than 100 worldwide. So it's been kind of a shock.
Well, it's still very fresh. Of course, you and your family had been looking for answers, according to a post I read, for a year and a half. And up until right at the end of February, you had no idea until the genetic testing was done. So you had to go through a year and a half of wondering what was wrong with Sawyer and trying to figure out, even as a nurse, I can't imagine taking that hat from mom to nurse back and forth, trying to be nurse, but trying to be mom too. That can be a challenge.
Yes. Sometimes knowledge will go against you.
Yes.
But I had to just not research because I would go down rabbit holes and it would be like 2:00 in the morning and my husband's like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I had a thought." And he's like, "Don't, Katie, just don't." So, I think it was just frustrating because, it takes forever to get into doctors and some of them act like you're crazy and I'm sitting here thinking I'm not crazy, and I know what's going on, and I know what's wrong with my kid, and I just can't pinpoint it. There's all these bizarre symptoms, and I can't piece it all together. So it was a long, frustrating process, but I'm thankful we now have an answer.
And obviously, it's nothing against the medical community, but when you have a diagnosis that's 1 in a million, or even better than that, there are just some things that a medical professional is not going to think of. And I'm so thankful that we have genetic testing that allows you after a year and a half to be able to have an answer.
Well, that's the thing. I'm so thankful for it. And like you said, it wouldn't really have been on too many people's radar. A lot of times these kids, they find out they have it because they die within the first week of life. Or if they're under the age of 6, people end up finding out their kid has it because they go into a metabolic crisis, which is a concern for Sawyer. But usually they find out with children going into cardiac arrest, and that's how they find out. So the fact that Sawyer is 4 and he essentially has had no treatment is an absolute miracle from God, because he really shouldn't be here right now. And that's what's hard to think about sometimes.
But he is here.
He is here.
Now, I imagine you've had a lot of support from a lot of people, and you found that people care much more than maybe you knew they did.
That is an understatement. I've been absolutely blown away, if not to the point of feeling completely unworthy of all the support we've had, and people that are just showing up, and friends that want to help, and complete strangers that want to help us. And we had some medical students at the UK has a satellite campus in Bowling Green, and they reached out, and I don't even know these people, and they've set up all these GoFundMe and fundraisers, and every time I turn around, I feel like they've set something else up, and I'm just like, I don't even know you, and you have completely changed our life in a matter of 2 weeks.
It's a mixed bag of emotions, isn't it, Katie?
It very much is. It's kind of like my husband said. I said, I feel guilty, and he said, Katie, he said, it's not. He said, they want to help us, and he said, at the end of the day, we would rather Sawyer be healthy. It's not that we're trying to take people's money. He said we would give it back and more if we could have Sawyer be okay. And my mama said, Katie, part of being a good servant is letting others serve you.
Oh, wow.
And I thought that was just kind of, my mama says a lot of profound things, and that was right up there. So I am calming my anxiety down and letting people help, because I don't think thank you will ever be enough to express how grateful we are.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like you need to keep listening to Mama.
That's the understatement of the year. Or my life, I guess.
Well, Katie, if it's okay, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I do want to let listeners know how they can help. Of course, we have a page for Sawyer, plus we have a GoFundMe. Let's talk about that when we come back. Will that be okay?
Absolutely.
All right, folks, right now we're talking to Katie Burch, and we're talking about her 4-year-old Sawyer. I hope that you'll stick with us. I really do appreciate Monica Gamble putting this family on my radar so that we can help Sawyer today. You are listening to The Mark White Show, and I'm your host, Mark White.
Something good today. A little wink, a pat on the back, a big old hug, a little laugh. We can make a difference. All we have to do is try. Yeah, every day's a chance to change somebody else's life. Let's all do something good today.
The best way to buy, sell, and experience land is with Jonathan Berryhill. For your farm, ranch, recreational, hunting, timber, and acreage needs, contact National Land Realty Professional Jonathan Berryhill at 256-874-7354 or email at jberryhill@nationalland.com. Be sure to follow Jonathan Berryhill with National Land Realty on Facebook. This is your land. Thompson Roofing and Construction is a locally owned family business serving the North Alabama and Southern Tennessee area. They are a Better Business Bureau A+ member since 2011 and a GAF Master Elite Contractor. Give them a call at 256-952-3309 or check them out on the web at 256roofing.com. They offer free inspections.
Thompson Roofing and Construction.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers. Losing a loved one is hard, but losing a loved one and not having an estate plan is even harder. Attorney Harlan Mitchell witnessed what not having an estate plan can do to families and decided to use his experience to do something about it. I encourage you to go to BamaEstatePlanning.com or give Harlan Mitchell a call at 256-216-9884. Again, that website is BamaEstatePlanning.com. Let Harlan Mitchell help you with estate planning. Do it for those you love and do it today. Boutique Air in Muscle Shoals, Alabama offers direct flights to Atlanta, Nashville, and Pensacola. Boutique Air service runs twice daily, 7 days a week with fares starting at $59. Follow Boutique Air Muscle Shoals on Facebook at Boutique Air MSL and book your flight through boutiqueair.com. Boutique Air,
where you can fly private for the cost of commercial.
He's got a cold, nothing to worry about.
Just need a couple of stitches.
Your COVID rapid test is negative.
Oh boy, X-ray shows it's broken.
Trust Trinity Medical Care when you need urgent care or routine medical care. Walk-ins are welcome, or let Trinity help you virtually with telemedicine. Visit trinity-medicalcare.com for more information and follow them on Facebook. Trinity Medical Care, where your care comes first. Located on Governor's Drive and South Parkway.
Hey everybody, this is Paul Overstreet, and you are listening to The Mark White Show. Stay tuned because Mark is doing some things on his show that's helping his community and uplifting people, so you stay with him.
He drives into the city, works extra hard all day, finishes up early so he can get away. There's a blue-eyed kid on second base, wants Dad to watch him play.
Welcome back to another edition of the Mark White Show. I am your host, Mark White. Right now, I have on the line with me Katie Burch, thanks to my friend Monica Gamble. We've been talking about Sawyer and a special journey that his family is now involved in. Katie outlined what was going on with Sawyer in the early stages. For a year and a half, this family was trying to figure out what was going on with Sawyer, and they had a genetic test. After a year and a half, they got the results in February, near the end of February, and they found that he had tested positive for a very rare disorder called Trifunctional Protein Deficiency. Now, Katie in the first segment let us know that she's a nurse, and so you think about trying to be a mom, trying to be a nurse, navigating this process, thinking about your child. I'm thankful that they utilized the genetic testing so that they could figure out what was happening to this sweet little boy, Sawyer. Welcome back to the Mark White Show, Katie Burch.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Katie, if you would, share some of the symptoms that Sawyer has had, some of the things, the difficulties that he has gone through because of TFP.
At 18 months, he had a seizure, and they could not really give us a reasoning of why, and they really kind of tossed their hands up at it. So that was one big thing that I thought, man, that's just kind of fluky. He had this weird newborn screen and then this seizure. And then fast forward a little bit to about 2.5. I noticed he was toe walking, which isn't abnormal for children, but he would walk like a gorilla, like his toes, like he would walk on his knuckles on his toes, not like tiptoes. So now we know that he doesn't have a lot of feeling in his feet. but he would trip and fall. I always had to make sure he had special shoes. And it was probably about 2.5 that I took him to a doctor and just said, something's not right. The first thoughts were that he had muscular dystrophy. And kind of over the last year and a half of starting to get this ball rolling, his stamina, he can't keep up with children that are half his age. He lost confidence. He knows he falls. His legs just give out. Last year when he had the flu, he stopped walking for a week. And he's had numerous MRIs, numerous sedated procedures and blood work, and he's just been a little trooper through all of it. But I think here recently, just in the past few months before the diagnosis, even his preschool teachers said he can't focus. He's just in a daze, and at home he would just want to lay down and not get up. And we now know that he really was trending down, and he was getting weaker. So I'm thankful that we found it when we did, because were we heading to that age of 6 years old and having cardiac arrest? And we just don't know. But he's been a tough little cookie, and he's been a little sunshine through all of it. But he's experienced a lot in a 4-year-old time, for sure. So we're just, and like I said before, he's lucky to be alive. So far, his heart looks really good, but that can always change with one metabolic crisis. They were preparing us for the possibility of even a heart transplant. And when the scan came back, his heart was normal. And that's an absolute miracle as well. Big things are cardiomyopathy, neuropathy, and retinopathy. His eyes are fine, which is another big blessing. And but he does have the loss of and weird sensations within his hips and legs, and the stamina issues. So we have to do a lot of physical therapy with him, and to help him with his feet.
I'm so glad that you're willing to accept the help that's being offered, and even from people you don't know. You realize now how many friends you truly do have. Doors of opportunity have opened up for people who are out there, including the Mark White Show listeners, to be able to support this effort. And Katie, I want you to be able to share how you want people to be able to help your family during this time.
Well, first and foremost, prayers, because any stomach bug, any respiratory illness, playing too hard, getting too hot, like a summer day, or being at the pool, he can go into a metabolic crisis, which is life-threatening. So we literally live with emergency bags packed to rush to the hospital at any time. And with an emergency checklist, and all of our neighbors are aware, and things
Right.
always happen in the middle of the night. So
Yes.
everybody's on standby if we call. But so first and foremost, prayers, just that he can stay healthy and we can help him try and live a normal life and learn how to take cues from his body, because that's going to be the biggest part. And I think that people have been so kind. I'm not one to ask for money. However, this is the reason that people have been raising money for us, is there is a specialty oil that Sawyer can have. There are no living people past the age of 25 with this disorder. Those that have been treated with this oil from childhood are in their mid-20s, and they're doing excellent. They're in law school, they're living on their own, doing what any young 20-year-old would. Insurance has not approved this oil for us, and it is $5,000 every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So it is very overwhelming, and we are actually on our third appeal with the insurance company to get this approved and to prove that it's medically necessary for Sawyer to have it. And essentially, if he doesn't have it, he won't live. That's the simple statement to it. And what really breaks our hearts is we're not the only family fighting this. And I know I'm on a very small Facebook group, but the Facebook group I am on, I know there's 2 other families fighting their insurance companies for this. And there's some families that haven't been able to have this oil because their insurance companies didn't cover it. They cannot afford it. And now their child is, taking a Tylenol when they need to be taking an oxycodone. It's
right.
A Band-Aid fix that affects all of these children's longevity. And so we are looking at a big financial burden for the rest of our lives. And not that anything, Sawyer, we would ever think anything of it being a burden, but it's just going to change a lot in our life, having to factor in hospitalizations. And they're hospitalized pretty frequently. If you can imagine a 4-year-old kid getting sick, we will have to travel back and forth to Pittsburgh at least every 6 months. That's where the TFP specialist is. TFP is so not known that he is the doctor that does the research. And he is unable to further his research simply for funding. And he knows what he wants to do. He knows what needs to be done. All of his studies are still in mice trials, and they are succeeding. He just does not have the funding to move to the next step. If there is, any nonprofit you're trying to look for, please look up Trifunctional Protein support or anything like that, because it's my son's longevity, and I don't know how long I'll have with him. And I think that's the hardest part of all of it, is this is our only hope for him to live long.
Well, Katie, I'll certainly be happy to have any medical professional on the line that has a nonprofit that's trying to raise funding for research. Be happy to spread the word. I know with mitochondrial trifunctional protein deficiency, also known as TFP, you've got some people that you can talk to, and I'm glad that there is a small community out there that you've been able to see some young people, as you said, in their mid-20s, and they're moving forward with their life. That is a positive aspect, and I'm glad that you're able to see people like that. It's not so rare that there aren't people that you can physically see. But at the same time, 1 of 100 known cases worldwide.
Never something we wanted to be famous for.
Absolutely not.
That's for sure.
Exactly. Even the name of the page, Sawyer Strong, A Family's Journey to a 1 in a Million Diagnosis. Just to let people know how rare this is. But you know what? Sawyer's a rare little boy. Every person is a rare person because they're one of a kind. Every person's one of a kind. And now Sawyer has something that's a little extra rare about him. But here on the Mark White Show, we're going to try to help Sawyer. And I do want to make sure that people know exactly how they can donate. And then follow the page on Facebook, Sawyer Strong, A Family's Journey to a 1 in a Million Diagnosis. Also on Instagram at Sawyer Strong with TFP. The GoFundMe, I have it right here. It's GoFundMe.com. Basically search for life-saving oil for super strong Sawyer Burch. Burch is spelled B-U-R-C-H. Again, that's life-saving oil for super strong Sawyer Burch. Katie, I know it's a difficult time for you. You have, as I mentioned, a lot of mixed emotions here because you're seeing support from the community. You're seeing people rally around your family, but at the same time, you know that if you don't get the help that you need, then Sawyer's time is limited, and that's hard for me to say. but we have to accept the reality and say, okay, this is where we're at, and we need the support of people listening right now so that Sawyer does have this special oil, this life-saving oil, so that he can be one of those that's in their mid-20s and going to get a college degree or whatever he wants to do, or a trade or whatever Sawyer wants to become, that he has that ability. So that's why we're here right now.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm tearing up.
You're fine. I appreciate friends like Monica Gamble, as I mentioned at the first. If people like Monica don't reach out to me and let me know, I don't know about your family, thanks to Monica, she let me know.
She's a sweetheart. We love her to death. Our boys are in little preschool together.
Oh, that's great.
They're big buddies. So,
well, just know that you always have friends and support, and you have a lot more friends now that you've been on the Mark White Show, Katie, and I appreciate the fact that you've been able to join me. Although it's been emotional, it's been difficult, I appreciate the fact that you were willing to join me and that we can help spread the word to bring awareness to this situation for Sawyer.
Well, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you, and as much as it stresses me out to ask for help, I am humbly asking for help because this is my baby's life, and I appreciate everything you've said and all the ways you're going to help spread this. Thank you just doesn't seem enough.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. People who are listening right now, you're listening to the Mark White Show, and you're hearing about trifunctional protein deficiency for the very first time as a family who would sit down with a doctor and find out for the first time about this. I want to encourage you to put yourself in the family's shoes, into the Burch's shoes, and think about if this was your child, if it was a grandchild, a niece, a nephew, a cousin, what would you do? Would you want to help the family? Would you want to support them to make sure that their child grows up in a way that allows them to see their potential in life? Or would you sit on your hands? I would say that you're probably going to take some action, and I hope that you will think of Sawyer as someone who's part of your family, a 4-year-old little boy who deserves to live, and I hope that you will go to the page on Facebook, Sawyer Strong, A Family's Journey to a 1 in a Million Diagnosis. Follow them on Instagram at Sawyer Strong with TFP, and also this GoFundMe. Please, if you can support the effort, if you can financially support it, go to GoFundMe and search Life-Saving Oil for Super Strong Sawyer Burch. And if you can't support it financially right now, I encourage you to share it. It doesn't cost you a dime. We're sharing things on Facebook all the time that really don't matter. We're sharing jokes. We're sharing humorous videos. We're sharing memes all day long. Share this because it can help save a life. Do you agree with that, Katie?
I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie Burch, for joining me here on the Mark White Show today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We're here to make a difference. We're here to recognize difference makers and share their stories to encourage and inspire us all. If you're not encouraged and inspired by this story, by this little boy Sawyer, I don't know what's going to encourage you and inspire you. But here we are right now, and I hope that you will decide to help this family, the Burch family. We are here to recognize difference makers, and if the show is making a difference in your life, I want you to share it with your friends, your neighbors, and your family. Please follow The Mark White Show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All of these places, you're going to find out about Sawyer because I'm going to be sharing about it. You're going to find the page. You're going to find the GoFundMe. Everything that we can do to help, you are going to find it on those social media pages. Also, I encourage you to subscribe to the Mark White Show podcast on Apple iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Audio Boom, SoundCloud, Blueberry, YouTube, and now on TuneIn Radio. You have been listening to another edition of The Mark White Show, and this is Mark White encouraging you to find your purpose by making a difference in someone's life today.
Who live and love in my hometown. These are my kind of people.
Hi, everybody. This is DJ Thomas. You know, raindrops may be falling on your head, but on Kyla's corner, she's living life sunny side up.
Nothing seems to fit. You are my sunshine, my only.
This is Kyla Carter of Kyla's Corner. You can hear my segment every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on The Mark White Show. Remember to tune in every Saturday and always live life sunny side up.
Please don't take my sunshine away.
Is it time for a haircut? Go see my friends Philip Butler and B.H. Parker at Southwind Barbershop, located at 1637 Lee Street in Rogersville, Alabama. Give them a call at 256-247-5658. That's 256-247-5658.
If you like hickory smoked ribs that fall apart at the slightest pull, or barbecue shoulders that are so slow smoked each tender bite melts in your mouth, then you are going to love Baby Jack's Barbecue. Baby Jack's Barbecue in Bartlett and Arlington. Try the barbecue chicken, beef brisket sandwich, barbecue potato, it is huge, or the Baby Jack Trio, pork, turkey, or beef brisket sliders. You like wet ribs? They like dry ribs. Get one slab that has them both. Catering? Baby Jack's can feed a family or an army. Drive in, drive through, order online, or come in and set a minute. Baby Jack's Barbecue in Bartlett at Highway 70 in Appling, or in Arlington at Highway 70 just a block west of 385.
Hello, my name is Christian Martinez. I'm a rising senior at Athens Bible School. My school is great because of the wonderful environment in which students can grow and flourish. We have great academics that include the University Preparatory Diploma and dual enrollment courses that lead to an associate's degree before high school graduation. All my teachers and the school's employees are Christians who are devoted to the welfare of students. We have an excellent student body, competitive sports program, and study the Bible first thing every day. It's a great place. Please consider joining us at ABS next year, or give that special child in your life the great opportunity I have.
Mr. Cecil Batchelor is the one that started this business as Dependable Service Center. And even though now it's Green's Dependable Hardware and we're a True Value store, our tagline is still Your Dependable Service Center. We've tried to keep that alive for all these years. Mr. Batchelor really started a good business. We're really excited to be carrying on a long-standing tradition. It's the oldest retail store in the city of Russellville. We're Green's Dependable Hardware, 15220A Highway 43 in Russellville, Alabama. We're right behind McDonald's or right across the street from the hospital. Number is 256-331-0123.
Your Dependable Service Center.
High Five Liquidation is coming to Athens, Alabama. At High Five Liquidation, everything is only $5. Household items, automotive items, kitchen and bath items, air fryers, Citizen watches, shop vacs, Instapots, crock pots, clothing, and much, much more. At High Five Liquidation, everything is $5. Located at 1206 Highway 31 South in Athens, just north of Ramona J's. Give them a call at 256-444-2682. You can also follow them on Facebook at High Five Liquidation. Stay tuned for the grand opening date coming soon.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Quentin Aaron, and you are listening to The Mark White Show. I want to encourage people to be more kind to one another. We only have one life to live, and let's do it treating people the way we want to be treated in return. Spread some cheer, spread some love, be kind to one another. God bless.
Hello again. It's your friend Lisa Ann, and this letter today is to help us remind each other that we need to always be our authentic, amazing, unique selves. I titled this poem, Narrated Photography. Another poet said it best when she said, "How trustworthy is a photograph that cannot speak?" And I add to the thought of the poet as I look upon the pixelation of a bright screen displaying smiles in a far-off distant country. Upon its green fields and lilies, the couple is standing, frozen in laughter with mouths open and eyes creased on the sides. The intrigue of a photograph that cannot speak. Yet we put words into them, dress them in happiness, never knowing what is going on just beyond the sunset. How they can giggle in still frames, yet go to bed at night, tucked in ocean waves of 1,000 thread count sheets, drifting apart from one another and never quite able to reach the shore. I click to the next picture that was carefully chosen to be on display for others. Now, both sets of eyes open, looking at one another, again in a photograph that cannot speak. And I, the nameless passerby that can write of loveliness as I sit in a sullen room. And again, the same poet said it best when she said, "What a curse that poets can describe anything beautifully." Yet, isn't the owner of the photographs the writer here? Telling us what we hope to see, but it is not their reality, and only those who know them best can write the truth? How the lines creased at the sides of their eyes that we once spoke of did not appear out of excessive joy, but instead upon ticking clocks, with too many minute hands going full circle in frustration of chasing a love that would not love them back. So we snap photographs, give others hope when we have none to give ourselves. This has been your letter postmarked from the garden. Until next time, remember, always light, always love, always home. Your friend, Lisa Ann.
You hear me, people, when I say, well, let's all do something good today.